This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Thanks everybody for downloading the latest edition of Doc and Jock. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me as always for podcasting time is my cousin Adam, the Jock Strozinski. Coming off of a weekend of NFL football, I can't wait to get his sense of what he saw, what his big takeaways were. We got to talk about it. Detroit's unsung hero, the mayor of Detroit, Matthew Stafford, finally gets his playoff win. You know we're going to talk about what that means, who's more to blame, does he have a chance to advance? Can't wait to break it all down, cuz. What's happening?
Man, it was a good weekend of football, that's for damn sure. That Dallas-San Francisco game, I mean, if you read anything, you should be reading SI.com, All Lions. It's fantastic. You do a great job. You incorporated me. You gave me the best game of the week with the Dallas-San Francisco game. All the stats pointed to Dallas winning that game, but my gut said San Francisco. San Fran came out and won that by hook or by crook, and what an exciting finish we had in that game. All these playoff games, very, very exciting. And I think if you're a Lions fan, there are things that you can look at with these teams and take some of those things away and possibly build this future franchise.
Yeah, I looked at it and I said, well, okay, the league went to 17 games. They changed the playoffs, added the 7th seed. And unfortunately, the 7th seed has yet to win one of these matchups. And it wasn't even close.
The 7 seeds looked brutal. Like they didn't even belong in any of these matchups. And I don't know. We all want more football, right? We all love more football. But it's not looking good for this expansion of the playoff when it comes to the 7th seed. The 7th seed got trucked in both of these games. They looked like they were nobodies. Like they should never have been considered in the playoffs. They looked absolutely horrid in both games. It was brutal, absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I was excited. And then you look at it, something that bothers me is you know how we operate. We try to do things correctly. We try to be a podcast that pays attention to sound and quality and pay attention to frequent. You know, I'll say this too, which is funny. We put out our podcast every single Thursday. I've been watching religiously Man in the Arena for the last 9 weeks, every single Tuesday. And it's a 10-part series. So now we're all excited. Everybody wants to see part 10. What happens? Part 10 is delayed. I'm like, that's not how this works. What are you doing? What do you mean it's delayed? I was like, it's a sequential 10-part series. And I looked at that and I said, in regards to the playoffs, I said, you kind of have an expectation that certain things are going to happen late in games. You kind of expect that teams are going to understand what to do. What Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott tried to execute, I will never understand because of the fact that there's 14 seconds left and you want to have and give yourself an opportunity to throw the football in the end zone, not calling a QB draw. And you gave yourself no wiggle room to potentially make the slightest error. I cannot believe that call. I think it's a fireable offense so that we can get Mike McCarthy here in Detroit. But I think he's going to end up staying in Dallas for one more year because he was able to coach that offense. But again, when your reputation as a coach like Jim Caldwell, like Mike McCarthy, is being a shitty game manager, that's horrible because you've had 17 weeks to practice. And it goes to what I've said and talked about on the podcast. These players maybe aren't practicing enough in regards to the fine-tuned details of the game. You're not seeing it. You're not getting the payoff of having quality football go on. And I mean, you see Kyler Murray make that stupid mistake in the end zone when it's kind of a basic play that if you're in the end zone, you're going to get sacked. Just take the sack. It's 2 points. You don't just fling it up willy-nilly and have it where you throw the ball to the other team. I wish Matthew Stafford would have got a better test. I loved the other matchup that really caught my attention. I loved Buffalo just kicking New England's ass. 7 consecutive touchdown scores? Are you kidding me? I love going back and watching it And really, it was just Buffalo saying, we're going to come and punch you in the mouth. Good luck, New England. And New England was like really outmatched, and it was crazy to see this new offensive wave led by Josh Allen. And you said it. I think that the Lions should hopefully learn from the ability to have big plays. And look what you got. You got big play quarterbacks, and you got big play wide receivers. Just look at Cincinnati. Burrow and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. That is a recipe for success combined with a healthy tight end. The Lions are trying to do that and implementing a defense, and so I'm extremely jealous of the Bengals. They already got a playoff win. They broke their streak. Joe Burrow paid off the success at the highest level, so I'm very impressed.
Yeah, look, I think the one thing you can take out of the playoffs this week is if you don't have a good young quarterback, you better have an elite one. And if you don't have an elite one, you better be really good at something. So you look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I think we all agree, Joe Burrow's the real deal. Like, he is on the cusp of becoming an elite quarterback. He's a very good young quarterback. Josh Allen, a very good young quarterback. You look at what took place in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady is an elite quarterback. Okay? Look at what's going on in San Francisco. Now, San Francisco, I think we all agree, Jimmy Garoppolo is not an elite quarterback. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a serviceable quarterback. He's probably an average quarterback. We're going to talk about Matt Stafford. I don't know if Matt Stafford winning a game changed your view on what he is as a quarterback. Kansas City, obviously, Patrick Mahomes is an elite quarterback. I don't think there's anything that you can argue there. But go beyond that. All right? Look at what else these teams bring. I mean, you talked about the offense that Cincinnati has. Like, it is big, explosive plays downfield, and they've got the ability to cut you up and make those plays. San Francisco's got a really good run game, and they've got a pretty good defense that will punch you in the face. So if you're not going to be good with your quarterback, well, you sure as hell better have something else, and they've got a really good run game, and they've got a very good defense. You look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had a lot of playmakers. They are now down to a few playmakers, but that's because they had so many that they were able to weather that storm and navigate the playoffs. Again, elite quarterback with Tom Brady. I think they have a very good defense. The Rams have a run game when they decide to use their run game. They have wide receivers and they have weapons on the outside. And what else do they have? They've got a very good defense, a defense that can punch you in the face and force turnovers and score points for you. And then you look at Buffalo. Buffalo has one of the best defenses in the playoffs. You look at Kansas City. Kansas City, the only reason Kansas City made it into the playoffs is that defense got right, and they got right in a hurry when it mattered most. So, again, the way Detroit is building and what Detroit needs, I think, to take out of these playoffs is you're not going to get that elite quarterback this year. I'm going to say it right now. I don't trust any of these quarterbacks coming out. I don't trust Jared Goff. So what do? You build the team around him. Look for playmakers on the outside and look to build and insulate that defense so it can punch people in the face and it can take over a game. And you do that, you can then wait for your quarterback. You can go out and you can get your Mac Jones and you can put him in there and maybe not play like New England played, but at least get to the playoffs and then find other pieces to build on top of that. And I think that's the one thing coming out of this playoff run that we've seen so far, coming out of Super Wildcard Weekend. If you don't have that elite quarterback, you've got to have other pieces that can get the job done, like a San Francisco. And I think if we're looking at a team that the Detroit Lions can build around or build like, I think it's probably San Francisco. I think that is probably the closest recipe for success for the Detroit Lions. I would love for it to be Cincinnati. I really would. But Joe Burrows don't fall off the tree every single year. You know what I'm saying? But you can put together a really good run game. You can have a really good offensive line. You can build a defense that can get to the quarterback, force turnovers, and just pressure the hell out of whoever has the ball and make them make bad plays and force them into mistakes. And then those mistakes you can capitalize on. I think if you're looking to build like a team, you probably should be looking to build like San Francisco.
Yeah, man, if you're a 49ers fan, you got to be just scratching your head because Garoppolo shows flashes of a quarterback that can take the next step, and then he makes the dumb mistake.
So frustrating.
Yeah, then he makes the dumb mistake that lets Dallas back into the game. You got to have that killer instinct. You make that mistake against Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be 7 points, and you're going to be down 14 real fast. So I absolutely agree. 49ers, Bengals. I thought that, when you look at the Chiefs, they're like, you look at Travis Kelce averaging 85 yards in his playoff games for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. So you look at it and you say that so many different ways to try and get that playoff victory. I hope the Lions can take that next step forward and build through the draft and build that defense up in order to move things forward. You look at Matthew Stafford getting that victory, and everybody was watching. I had the 97-1 Stafford cast on, Jim Costa and Rieger back and forth having the debate. It was fun. But by and large, the game was a dud. It was really embarrassingly bad football from the Arizona Cardinals because they didn't compete. They kind of looked like a regular season contest. And I love the narrative that surfaced online where people were saying, oh, the Lions wrecked the Cardinals. And in essence, they did. The Cardinals were never right after that contest. They dipped, and Cliff Kingsbury's swoon really has kind of changed the narrative on what people think about him in regards to not getting your team ready. But for Matthew Stafford, and here's the thing that pisses me off, and I want to set the table here because everybody had the debate about Stafford and how he was in Detroit. But I want to say this in regards to the debate, okay? Those that argued that Matthew Stafford couldn't win one single playoff game were just making an exaggeration of a bigger point. And this is what I was telling a friend when I was thinking about this debate. The argument wasn't whether Stafford could win a single playoff game. It could happen. I mean, you've seen lesser quarterbacks get one. It could have happened. What the real debate was around the time, and you can go back to our YouTube page and scroll through. Our descriptions are all there. We archive everything. The point was, if you pay Matthew Stafford $26 to $28 million per season, and at the time make him the highest paid quarterback, the goal is not to just win a playoff game. The goal is to advance consistently to the playoffs, get there, win games, and win Super Bowls. And the real debate for the intellectuals that weren't just trolling around on Twitter was, could Matthew Stafford win a Super Bowl? And that's the real debate in my mind. And my answer is still no until he goes and proves it. So now everybody's celebrating their victory saying, oh, Matthew Stafford won a playoff game. All the haters are wrong. That's not the debate. We're not moving the goalpost. You build a run game. You build a defense. You have OBJ, Von Miller, Cooper Kupp. You have a head coach with the quality of Sean McVay who's considered an offensive genius. You plop Stafford in there, and that's why he's a genius. He wanted to take the pressure off of himself. He didn't want to go in there and light up the defense and have everything be on him like what was going to happen in Detroit. He said, take me out of that. I don't want that. I want to be part of a team, throw it 17 times, and win a playoff game. And that's what happened. So clap for him, but you don't get no flowers for that. You got to go out there and advance. Go beat Tom Brady. Go beat Aaron Rodgers. Go beat Josh Allen. Go beat a quality defensive coach like Mike Vrabel. Then you start getting kudos. You don't get flowers for one playoff win. And it's embarrassing. And it's really the height of the participation award where everybody's clapping for a victory. Let him continue. The story's still being written. He got the playoff win. Does that make him elite? No. It makes him smart for making the decision to get out of Detroit. I'm curious to get your sense of it, but of course the Lions were culpable in some of the decisions. You had general managers in and out. You had bad talent evaluation. You had substandard play at different positions. You didn't surround him with enough quality talent for consistent periods of time. You get Sue and he's gone. You get Jim Caldwell in, who the players love, and the general manager decides, hey, let's just blow that out. You traded off players that he obviously respected. So you chipped away at his desire. You chipped away at his love of playing in Detroit, and that's what happened. He opted out, and he wanted to go. And the best thing that he ever did was opt out, because he set forth the rebuild for the Lions. So it's a win-win for everybody. But I can't sit here and say, kudos to you, Matthew Stafford. You won a single playoff game after 13 seasons and all that cash you put in the bank. This should have happened like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow did it in year 2 or 3. Come on.
Yeah, I don't think it makes him elite. I don't think this somehow he's revolutionized the position. What this is a season you're watching right now where a guy is basically checking things off of a box or checking boxes off of a list. Did he win a division title? Finally, yes. Did he win his first playoff game? Finally, yes. This doesn't make you elite. Like, this performance against Arizona, like, when you really look at the numbers, yeah, he had a hell of a game, I guess. I mean, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he ran one in. Good job. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't make you elite. Like, this wasn't one of those performances where you're like, oh my God, that was a hell of a performance by this guy. He put this team on his back. Honestly, the defense could have won you this game. Like, that's how bad Arizona played. So, doesn't make him elite. I think it's one of those things where the story's still being written, like you said. It's one of those things where the fans of Matt Stafford, and this thing, he's so divisive, right? He's so divisive here in Detroit sports. He's so divisive in the state of Michigan. The fans of Stafford are like, there it is. There's your proof. It was all Detroit. And then the fans of, like, the not fans of Stafford are like, it was one game against a bad Arizona team that has backed their way into the playoffs and they crumbled. This is going to be one of those things. If Matt Stafford's really elite, I want to see him go out there and I want to see him beat Tampa Bay. And then once he gets by Tampa Bay, I want to see him beat Green Bay, because I don't think San Francisco's winning that game against Green Bay. So then I want to see you go into Lambeau and win a game there. You win a game there. Now we can talk about something. You know what I'm saying? The story is still being written. It's not done yet. There's nobody moving goalposts here. Cool, he got his first playoff win. He's now 1-3. Congratulations.
1, right. Exactly. And the idea is this. When you're the number 1 pick, when you take big money to play quarterback, when you're the guy, there's expectation placed on your shoulders. Exactly. You have that you are levied with that to be the guy. Now, a different argument is, well, is it deserved? Is it a team game, QB win stats, all that kind of nonsense? The bottom line is this. I am sitting in my office in my new crib talking to one of my favorite people to talk to with the Lions jersey autographed behind my shoulder. Okay? It's of Detroit, not the Rams. You guys sound so desperate, so hanging off this guy's jock strap. It is embarrassing.
It's so weird that people are like, people wear Matt Stafford Rams jersey. I'm like, why? Why?
He also jacked you up potentially if you are of the belief that draft picks matter. And you could have had number 23, which would have put you in line for maybe one of the best wide receivers. Now you're at 26 to 29. And if he keeps winning, he's going to put you at 30-31. So he's fucking you in one area. Why are you sitting there praising the man? Once a player leaves, fuck you, you're gone. See ya. We don't need you. What Detroit does is these Twitter people want the validation of all these players to be like, oh, we love you, Matthew. We love this, and please pay attention to us. He walked into your owner's office and said, get me the fuck out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. I can't handle it. We are Detroit fans. The idea is not to glom onto a guy who quit on you and is currently in the juxtaposition to affect how your team goes. And the greats are saying it, the wise ones saying it, strictly business. I want the higher draft pick to give my general manager an opportunity to pick the guy that's going to perform. And 5 players can mean a difference. So I can't wait to see who the Lions pick versus number 23. So I don't want to legislate how people be a fan, but the idea that Matthew Stafford is this solid hero that should be praised and loved in Detroit, He's the ultimate victim. It's such a win-win for that guy. Now everybody, and here's the thing, here's the best part about being a Lions fan. You're a Lions fan, huh? Out there listening to this podcast, downloading, whether you're working out or however you're entertaining and listening to this. You're a Lions fan and you're out there going, no problem, the Lions fuck Matthew Stafford. What does that say about what your affiliation is to the Lions? So it's all the Lions' fault. Matthew Stafford played no part in this. He did nothing wrong in this relationship. The Lions fucked Matthew Stafford, and you're a fan, and you're sitting out there willing to drop your money for $12 beers and go down there, but the organization fucked Matthew Stafford. Come on, give me a break. Matthew Stafford did the best thing for the organization he ever did. He knew it. He was never going to win because he was going to be called upon by wise people like Adam Strozinski and John McEnroe and the handful of people that know how to succeed, that you need to step your ass up when it's called upon. You need to, when your team's down against Dallas and you're getting fucked by the refs, bring them back. Come hell or high water. Figure it out. Make the next play. That's the idea here. He didn't want that smoke. He did not want that smoke. He wanted to be part of a team. He wanted to have a bunch more talent, and he wanted a different vibe. And kudos to him. LeBron's done it. All the greats now are doing it. But you lose demerits in the respect category when you go and do that. So, in my opinion, I think that Matthew Stafford is a fine quarterback that can play the position. But is he a quarterback that when the chips are down in the biggest moments, do I expect him to come through? Currently, the answer is no. And I think that going against Tampa Bay, Tom Brady's got a miracle on his hands. He's got 69% of his offense is out. He's throwing to Brashad Perriman, for Christ's sake. So Stafford should be the favorite. He's not, but he should go in there and he should go in there, and that offense should kick the Buccaneers' ass, because they should feel good and feel really empowered that if they can get out to a lead, Tom Brady's got his work cut out for him. But I think it's going to be a real close game. Might be one of the best games of the weekend. I'm looking forward to that matchup. But Matthew Stafford, guys, he's out in L.A. He's definitely a former member of the community, but the rule of thumb should be once that guy takes off the Lions jersey and wears another jersey, I hope he falls flat on his face so that I can really explain to people why success matters and winning a playoff game is not the bee's knees.
I mean, here's the thing. Winning the playoff game, that's not where the bar was set. That was not why they went out and they brought Matt Stafford in. The bar is set at this team winning a championship for the Los Angeles Rams. It is not getting by the Arizona Cardinals, who imploded down the stretch. It is not hanging a 34-11 win on a team that has a quarterback who's playing in his first playoff game and looking like he's just all out of sorts and in the deep end of the pool. It is not seeing a coach in Cliff Kingsbury who regularly struggles down the stretch and can't figure out a way to get this team over the hump when it matters most. It was not ever just to win a playoff game. It was to win multiple playoff games. It was to bring a championship to Los Angeles. It was to be playing in your home field in the biggest game of the season. So the book is still being written. Matt Stafford still has work to do. Let us not crown him because he has not done what a king would do, because he has not proven that he is worthy to be the king. He is still working on doing that. So let's pause for a moment. Hey, good job. Went out, got your playoff win. Good for you. Let's see what you do this week when you take on Tom Brady in Tom's castle. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So, which game are you looking forward to the most? Which one you liking?
I don't know, man. This is going to be a great week. Like the Buffalo-Kansas City game, like that's going to be a great game. And if I remember last season? Last season that was a great game when they hooked up and they played. So I think that was the game that you ended up showing up at the condo. and you brought me a ton of beer. You brought me some what are they, the little drinks that the ladies drink that you like, the little fruity ones. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I've got a ton of them down in my basement.
Oh, I forget. That's right. I forget what you're talking about. But I know what you're talking about. White Claws.
Yes, White Claws. There you go. Thank you. That game looks like, especially with the job that the Bills did. I mean, this game right here, it's like first to 100 wins. It's kind of what it has the feeling of. You know what I'm saying? These are two offensive that can just explode off of the page. I think the Green Bay game could be really interesting. You have a guy in Aaron Rodgers who is 0-3 against San Francisco. And if there's ever a kryptonite, it is something that is dressed in maroon and gold that he just can't seem to get over the hump. Now, obviously, he's got home field advantage. You've got a quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo who's got torn ligaments in his wrist, and he's banged up. But does that defense have enough to stop the almighty, possibly the MVP of Green Bay? So that could be a really good story right there. I mean, of course, you got Tampa Bay, you got the Rams, and then look, Cincinnati is just an interesting story. I think Cincinnati is just a fun watch. I think everything that offense does is great, but you've got a returning King Henry going up against a defense that is banged up, that is busted up on the Cincinnati side. So I think there's a ton of interesting stories. I think if there's one game that you have to watch, that you have to watch this game, I think it's going to be the Buffalo Kansas City game, just because those offenses are so damn good. They're so much fun to watch. Like I said, first to 100 is going to win that game. So I think that's where if you had to put some money on it, I think that would be the game to put your money on and the game to watch.
All right, let's pivot here real fast. We had a topic to talk about the Red Wings, but we have to pivot quickly.
Yeah, pivot away.
Because I know you're seeing it. I know you're surfing online. The Jim Harbaugh shit is going all over the place. I got to get your sense of it. Bruce Feldman, Athletic, just posted maybe 10 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh, if he was offered the Raiders job, would take it, according to the sources that are talking to him. Now, this shit has gone all over the place. We've kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but now we just got to lay it on the table. Is Jim Harbaugh the ultimate now OG? Is he just saying to now Ward Manuel, look, I got potentially offers. This is business. This is great for Jim Harbaugh. I think he's using the ultimate leverage to get a nice, healthy contract based on the fact that his salary was cut last year. This is great. You got this is, and you know who the source is? The fucking source, guys, is Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Let's go. It's going.
Dude, I love how smart you are. I love that you're able to figure this out too. Because
it's easy.
That's exactly what it is.
It's what's going so easy. He's like, okay, you know, the sources that are talking to Bruce Feldman are people that are tied to Jim Harbaugh, whether it be his third cousin or fourth friend removed. Come on.
Who's the source? The source is Jim Harbaugh. The source it's John Harbaugh and it's Jim's dad. That's the source. That's where we're at with this. Come on.
Now, here's the problem, though. Michigan, unfortunately, had to drop $250 million to silence some situations here, you know, to kind of move things along from their past.
On top of that, you've got your president out there trying to get his stoop sucked. So, I mean, you know.
Great in Ann Arbor, baby, the Knish. We didn't even talk about that. I'm so matured. I didn't even bring up the Knish. I mean, come on. Can I lure you to the crib with the potential of some Knish? It's real big, 8-inch Knish. You know? Yeah, good job, Doc. On a company email, you dipshit. That's the dumbest thing. I mean, there's literally 50 other ways to message a person. Not on a company email. But that's the world we live in. But Jim Harbaugh, I think, is playing this perfectly. And in the end, I think he still stays. But the Raiders, if they hire Ed Dobbs, has a relationship with Harbaugh. So I think it's kind of one of those things too where Harbaugh's like, no, I want to stay. But if Vegas is like, we're going to offer you, you know, 6 years, $12 million per, you know, in the neighborhood of $75 million, he's got to take it, right?
I mean, like, if that's what you want to do, to me, it's one of those things where, is coaching at U of M his dream job? Everybody says yes. Is it going to get any better than it got this season? I don't know. I don't know if that's a university that is willing to dabble with the NIL money and is willing to help give you all of the tools that are needed to go in and win. Like, you got to you got to the mountaintop. You got to see what it was like to play against the big boys. And you got beat by the national champions. And I don't know if you are ever going to be capable of coming back and doing that again. I don't know if the university will allow you to do what it takes to be able to go out there and do those things. And it's not Jim Harbaugh's fault. Jim Harbaugh pushed for the NIL. Jim Harbaugh has pushed for the transfer portal. Jim Harbaugh wants to be more active in the transfer portal and wants to be able to go out and get guys and load this team up to be able to go do business against the SEC. But the Big Ten holds itself higher, to a higher standard, to a higher degree. And they say, no, Jim, we're not going to go and we're not going to give a player $1 million to bring him here. We're not going to go and basically play bagman and drop hundreds of dollars of bills in a McDonald's bag on a kid's porch to bring him here. Yeah, we know it's all illegal now, but we're not going to do it. So that's on the university. So if you're Jim Harbaugh and you got a chance to leverage a little bit of cash from the Las Vegas Raiders, you got a chance to try to bend Ward Manuel's ear and say, look, this is what's going on. This is what the deal is. This is what I want. Can you get me there? And saying, hey, it's a whole new world out there. Like the NCAA, the landscape for college football is dramatically different than what it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's different. Everything is different. The bagman that we all talked about, the guy that we all whispered about and was like, yeah, we know what's going on down south. We know what's going on with those recruits, and we understand why guys are turning instantly to go play in Ohio State. Hey, that boogeyman, he's real, and he's alive, and it's all okay now. The NCAA said, yeah, it's okay. No big deal there. So, look, I don't know if he goes to Vegas. You know, it would be one of those things where it's everything he wants, right? He wants control. He wants to be able to do it his way. But does he ever leave Michigan, where he is the biggest deal in the room? I don't know if that happens, man. I don't know. That's a hard thing to see. I don't think he leaves. I think he stays at the University of Michigan. I think he ends up, like I said, grabbing Ward Manuel's ear, saying, hey, we need more. We got to do it this way. And they kind of lax a little bit on their NIL protocol. And that's how I see it playing off. I don't think he ends up going back to the NFL.
Are you annoyed by this kind of rigmarole, or is it just business as usual for a coach trying to negotiate a contract?
I mean, it doesn't annoy me, because this is the thing. If I was really concerned, if I really thought Jim Harbaugh was leaving, it would probably annoy me. I don't think he's leaving, so it doesn't bother me. It doesn't annoy me. I find it to be fun. I find it to be an interesting story. I find what's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders to be fun. I find what's going on with Jim Harbaugh to be fun. Until you can show me a contract that somebody has offered, I'm not going to believe Jim Harbaugh is leaving. And maybe it makes me novice. Maybe it makes me an idiot. I don't know. Maybe it makes me a lot of things. But until I see that contract that's being bantied about by sources, which are Jim Harbaugh's dad, maybe his brother, and Jim Harbaugh himself, I don't believe he's going anywhere. I don't believe he's leaving anytime soon. And it's funny because you've got people in the Raiders organization that are like, the source is Jim. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, even they're calling it out. So No, I don't believe he's going anywhere. I don't think it hurts him. If anything, it's good for him. Like, use what you got to use to get that contract back up. Like, this man took a heavy hit for the dollar bills that he was getting paid. He was arguably a top 3 head coach when it comes to salary 2 seasons ago. You know, it was basically, you had what goes on with Alabama, you had what goes on with Ohio State, and then you had Michigan. And now you can look down the street to what's going on with Mel Tucker, and Mel Tucker is now the standard. I mean, actually, he's no longer the standard because everybody's got these escalators on their contracts, but here in the Big Ten, Mel Tucker's the bee's knees. So, yeah, he should want $8-10 million. And if you can leverage the Raiders to get it, go do it. I don't think he's leaving, though. I think he's staying.
Okay. Let's see what happens. I think it's real interesting with this whole Harbaugh situation in regards to how he's played it out and things like that. Do you think that, real quickly here, that in any way Harbaugh, based on this kind of yin and yang, if he does return, do you still think that the motivation will be there to continue to have success? Because, man, it's a grind to recruit. The transfer portal's hard. The constant recruiting of the players you already have. It's really tough, man. This landscape of college football is really kind of, in my mind, going toward more a young man's game. Someone in their late 50s, do you still think he's got the juice to get Michigan beyond where they were this season?
I think it's going to take the university is going to have to relax on some of their on some of what they want. You're going to have to be able to go out there and play hardball. I mean, you as a Michigan State fan, you understand. You got to see what Mel Tucker could do when you take the shackles off. When you say, hey, go out there, play with the big boys. Go to the transfer portal. Here's a bunch of money. Get the bag man involved. Bring these guys in. Let's do the damn thing. If the university's willing to do those things and put him on par and put him in a position to where he can go out and he can win football games, not necessarily with an arm tied behind his back, but do it based on merits and do it based on playing on an even playing field, because you all seen what happened when you got to the Final Four. You weren't on the same stage. You weren't even in the same area code as those teams that were playing for a national championship. So unless the university is willing to bend some of its more rigid and more structured ways to be able to get that cash flow going out to bring in those best players and opening those doors for a transfer portal and allowing Jim Harbaugh to participate in it, like a Mel Tucker, like a Kirby Smart, like anybody else who is able to go out there and like a Jimbo Fisher and what's going on with A&M. I mean, unless they're willing to do those things, you're never going to get there. You'll always be what Michigan currently is, and it's the bitch to the SEC. And it's going to be hard when you take on a team like MSU.
Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ for all great, strong opinions daily. Make sure you follow Detroit Sports Podcast on Twitter at Detroit Podcast. Anywhere you find your favorite podcast, anywhere, look up and search Detroit Sports Podcast, and you can subscribe, hit the like button, and give us a follow. If you're so inclined, feel free to leave us a review. Let everybody know. Just tell one other person that you like these guys, these loyal guys who've been broadcasting each and every Thursday for the last 8 years, going on 9 since 2013, going strong, approaching episode 500. I can't wait as we break down Detroit sports, all things going on in the world of professional sports, the Lions, Wings, Pistons, Tigers, college athletics. We're here at the Detroit Sports Podcast. Podcasting time is over, cause let's hit it. Let's hit the record button next week. I can't wait.